Hello everybody, June here. Today I'm coming back to you with another pattern review. This time it is for the Ingrid dress from Homer and Howells, and I am wearing it right now. This is a pattern company that is new to me. I had never heard about them, and then I don't know how I came across a picture of a finished Ingrid dress back when the pattern launched in May, and I knew right then and there that I needed to make this dress because I don't know if you've noticed the pattern lately, but I am very much into ruffles and puff sleeves. And boy, does this dress have both of those. So first, a little description of the pattern. It is a pattern with 3 views, and 2 of the views are for dresses. One is a midi length, one is a shorter length, and then one is for a blouse. The blouse has the sleeve options just like the dresses, and then the dresses actually have a very interesting look. They are asymmetrical, so the pattern pieces are like from back, left, right, they're all different. They have this sort of asymmetrical ruffles in the front and the back, and then this cute little tuck here that it's currently kind of obscured by my microphone. But it is really a pattern, a dress like I had never seen before, and I was so drawn to it. So I bought the pattern, I bought the PDF, because getting the paper pattern, which is my preferred way to get patterns, but getting the paper pattern here from the UK was prohibitively expensive. So I got the PDF pattern, I got it printed at PDF Plotting, which is where I always get my patterns printed. And the moment that the pattern arrived, the sheet arrived in my apartment, I started tracing it, and I made a muslin right away. I made a muslin in the size UK 18, which was sort of the pattern recommendation for my bust size, and it was big. It was actually really big all around, and I'll get to that in a moment. But I made the muslin, and then I have been making so many ruffles and ruffle patterns that after I made the muslin and decided that I needed to size down and make some changes, I just put it away. And then earlier this weekend, I started cutting it. Well, on Friday, I started cutting it, and then between Saturday and Sunday, I made the whole dress. So that is the introduction, if you will, to this pattern and to my dress. So after making the muslin for the first time, as I said, I decided that I needed to size down, and I made the UK size 16. And I made a bunch of changes based on my original muslin. For this version that I am wearing, which is my final version, I made the UK size 16. I shortened the bodice, obviously front and back, 1¼ inches. And I also raised this tuck 3/4 of an inch because of the position that it fell on me was all wrong, and it made it look very frumpy. And that was actually easier to do than I thought. They do have a tutorial how to do this on their blog. So if you look on how to raise the tucks for that, you can find it there. I also raised the armhole 5/8 of an inch because in the size 18, UK 18, I felt like the armhole was about an inch too low. And since I sized down and things are a little smaller, I went with 5/8 of an inch, and that worked out okay actually. It's really great. I made a 1/2 inch narrow shoulder adjustment, and I could have gone with like another 1/4 of an inch or so, but a 1/2 inch has worked out well for me at this point. And then when I was starting to cut the skirt part of the dress, I decided to be on the safe side, and I added 3 inches to the length of the skirt because it's easier to make it shorter than it is to make it longer, and I'm glad that I did. I added the 3 inches, but then when it came time to hemming, I did a 1½ inch hem versus the 3/4 inch hem that the pattern calls for. So between the shortening of the bodice, the lengthening of the skirt, and the increasing of the hem, overall the dress is 1 inch longer than if I hadn't done any of that. So 1 inch longer than the straight size 16. And I think all those changes really made this dress look much nicer on me, because initially it looked really frumpy and I was worried that because it is so big, it is so boxy, that it was going to look awful. But I think having the darts, or the tucks rather, fall in the right place, and having the waist of the bodice be a little shorter and the waist a little higher up, and all of that has really made for a look that I'm very pleased with. And adding that extra 5/8 of an inch to the armhole, so having it raised that much, has increased mobility. Not that it was a problem before because the sleeves are so big, but I'm very happy with those changes. And if I was to make this again, I would probably take in another 1/4 inch or so on the shoulders. But other than that, it's perfect. I do want to say something about the sizing because, well, two things really. Because as I said, the first time that I made this, I made the UK size 18 and it was enormous. Then I went back and I made the 16, but when I tried it on, like, it felt nice, but according to the pattern, the finished garment measurements on the pattern, the size UK 16 is supposed to measure something like 44 inches, 44 and 1/8 of an inch or something like that. But I actually measured the pattern flat and it measures about 46 inches, which is very close to what the UK size 18 is supposed to measure. So I think there's some discrepancy between what the actual pattern, flat pattern measurements are versus what the what it says on the pattern envelope, if that makes sense. And another thing about the sizing, and it has nothing to do with like measurements, but rather with the way that they write sizing. So they give you UK sizes and then US sizes, and they put one of them in parentheses. And I think they think that they are being helpful, but this is actually very, very confusing. And I think that ultimately a number doesn't matter because you are sewing, so you're going by measurement. So just one number size would have been so much easier. So it was very confusing for me. And I imagine it would be confusing for other people as well. So maybe not have both sizes like that on a pattern. Maybe that's something for them to reconsider. And about the sleeves and the elastic for the puffy kind, which is what I made here, it's kind of confusing because under the materials list, they say you need about 1 yard of elastic regardless of the size. And then in the finished garment measurements, they say what the length of each elastic will be depending on the size. And that is the only mention of how much elastic you need for the sleeves. And it was difficult because the way that they have those two things written down, it doesn't, like, if you need a whole yard of elastic, but then the finished size of your elastic is smaller. Basically, what they should have done, I think, is tell you how much elastic you needed to cut per sleeve for each size of the pattern, rather than give you a finished elastic size, because you have to like actually read the instructions really well to find out that they want you to overlap the elastic like 1.5 inches. So anyway, I cut my elastics 18 inches long because a yard divided by half is 18 inches. And then I overlapped them 1.5 inches. And I ended up with like this kind of sleeve, which it does a good job in sort of bringing the hem of the sleeve together, but it's not actually close to my body. And that's fine. That is perfectly fine by me. I don't particularly love having elastic tied on my arms, but if you look at the garments that have been made, the sleeves do come in more on other people, and I wonder if they just use less elastic. But I think the whole thing with elastic is it could have been clearer on the pattern. But aside from that, everything is very clear, despite the fact that this is a little bit of a tricky pattern in the way that the pattern pieces are cut. They tell you when to cut right side up, when to cut wrong side up in the fabric, because, like, as I said, every pattern piece is its own piece, right? So left, right, front, back, skirt, whatever, they're all different. So you don't, I think there's only one pattern piece that you can technically cut on the fold if you have enough fabric. But those are my only two issues really with this pattern. The murkiness of the instructions for the elastic, and then the confusing way they use UK and US sizes. Other than that, I really love this pattern. I love this dress so much, and it is so comfortable. And I don't think you can tell, very well here. But this fabric, which is a chambray that I bought from fabric.com, again not sponsored, has like little neon specks that are green and pink, and it is so pretty and it is so perfect, and I still have some left. So I might actually have to buy more of this fabric because I love it so much and I need to stash some. So yes, that is the Ingrid dress from Homer and Howells. I hope that you have enjoyed this review, that you have found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!